New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, might want to reconsider future acts of posturing in memory of the Holocaust or in memory of any other trampling of rights and mass murder carried out by agents of the state that has ever occurred in history. Why? It has to do with her summer-long aggression against the right to keep and bear arms, and how a Jewish group in New York is recognizing the threat to safety and their own rights that Hochul and her gun-grabbing moves represent. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. It was just under 2 months ago that her Hochulness made a grand, meaningless pageant of signing, as the Government of New York website shouts, a legislative package to honor and support Holocaust survivors in educational, cultural, and financial institutions. Even as she was, at that time, get this, threatening Holocaust survivors and anyone else in New York who might dare want to possess a firearm for defense inside a synagogue or any other house of worship. How do we know this? We know because a group of New York-based gun owners who are Jewish Thursday filed suit against her and her state apparatus in order to win back the ability to exercise their right to keep and bear arms inside a center for religious worship. The group is called the New York State Jewish Gun Club. Contains members who not only attend synagogue, but one who is the president of a Brooklyn synagogue. And as Cam Edwards reports, for bearing arms, they understand the machinations and vile tactics of Hochul after the Supreme Court of the United States, the SCOTUS, on June 23rd, ruled in the case New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated v. Bruen. Now, in typical half-hearted fashion, the Supreme Court majority in the Bruen case found against New York's mandate that citizens had to prove to the government that they had proper cause to conceal carry firearms outside the home if they wanted to. Unfortunately, despite that good aspect of it, the majority also allowed the state to claim that they could block such carrying of firearms in public if state politicians deemed the areas sensitive areas. Yeah, figure that one out. And guess what Hochul and the Democrat majority in the New York Assembly almost immediately did in response? You got it. They passed the Concealed Carry Improvement Act, CCIA, Orwellian legislation to create a list of so-called sensitive areas that somehow improve the right to keep and bear arms by creating no-go zones to exercise the right to keep and bear arms. I get it. And by the way, big shocker, houses of worship are on the list. The statute went into effect on September 1st and, writes Edwards, quote, the blows to New York's post-Bruen gun laws keep coming, with the latest lawsuit filed by the president of a Brooklyn synagogue as well as a worshiper and concealed carry licensee at another synagogue in Rockland County. The pair's attorney, Armour Benno, points out in the initial complaint that at a time of increasing attacks on synagogues and Jewish communities in the state, Governor Kathy Hochul and New York Democrats have perversely made it impossible for congregations to protect themselves unless they can afford to hire private security. That's right, the plaintiffs and their attorneys not only oppose Hochul's threats, they worry because of previous recorded violence against Jews. Quote, under the new laws rushed through the state legislature in the wake of the Bruen decision, concealed carry is banned in almost all houses of worship, and the religious institutions themselves have no say in the matter, something Benno argues is unconstitutional and a tragedy waiting to happen. They also note that the houses of worship term that I mentioned earlier is just the start. Quote, in passing the CCIA, New York State has expressed that legal carry in New York is okay, but not for those who observe religious rituals and customs. This law specifically targets religious people by threatening them with arrest and felony prosecution if they carry their firearms while engaging in religious observance. In the lawsuit, attorney Corey Morris made it clear that the CCIA does not target criminals, but rather seeks to criminalize religious observance while legally carrying a firearm. The law also leaves religious observance as vague and undefined, making it difficult to even understand what is prohibited by the new law. This is a stark reminder of who believes in respecting the natural rights of others and who does not. Adds the New York State Jewish Gun Club, quote, "We filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, against New York State officials. We also filed an application for an emergency injunction to stop New York State from enforcing the aspect of the CCIA that designates places of worship or religious observation as sensitive areas where possessing a licensed firearm is prohibited and punishable with severe criminal penalties." Indeed, this is more than a stark reminder of who would respect the natural rights of others and who would not. This is a reminder that Hochul is a hypocrite and a threat to natural rights at the same time. As I mentioned earlier, in August, Hochul trotted out an audience of political parasites, sycophants, and predators to sign legislation in memory of the Holocaust. Now, I'm not Jewish. My heritage is English and Irish, with all the troubles involved with those political histories. But one need not fall into any of the categories politicians use to separate humanity and play one group off of another in order to look at this story. One can stand for fundamental human rights. One can remind Hochul that Hitler seized firearms by using a gun registry created before he took power. One can remind Hochul that the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto fought back with firearms that they didn't relinquish to the Nazis. To think that she can honor victims of gun confiscation, of legally excused property theft, of government kidnapping, concentration camps, and extermination camps, even as she threatens Jewish survivors who want to carry arms in New York synagogues, is offensive beyond words. And a just released update in this story tells us that an Obama-appointed federal district judge will not grant the plaintiffs a temporary restraining order against Hochul enforcing this abomination. That too is beyond words. You can see my story about that at MRCTV.org as well. But these words might fit. Any person who tells you, a peaceful individual, that he or she intends to disarm you is a person who wants to enslave you and does not care about your life or your God-given rights. Hochul appears to be one of those people. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. If you're watching us on Rumble, we'll see you there and we won't be censored. Hit the plus button because that helps move us up in the algorithms. We'll see you at Twitter, at TikTok, at Instagram, at Parler. The Facebook page is jumping, thumbs up, A. And you can also always find us at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org. And yes, we are on YouTube, despite their machinations to mess with us. Please make sure that you're still subscribed if you are subscribed, and if you're not, please do so. You can find me on Gab at Gardner Goldsmith and on Twitter at Gard Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.